Hi, this is Taves. What you're about ready to hear is podcast 3 with Mike IMHOLT, KHOURY, and myself. This may sound a little bit odd to you because it kind of picks up in the middle of a conversation, but no worries. That was the purpose of this podcast. It's just you're a fly on the wall listening to a typical shooting the ball conversation that Mike, Casey, and I may have at any given point. Hopefully, you're not thrown too far askew from that. It also ends kind of abruptly, so don't be looking for any, any continuity or any kind of coherent plot, as it were. We were not working off of notes. This was just talking, and we decided to kind of let tape roll, and you'll hear us mention a few times, the preceding conversation that we had, and there are some stagey elements to this, but it's mostly the conversation. There have been some edits made to cut it down. As far as the long pauses go, outside of that, it's pretty unadulterated, including language. I'm not apologizing for that, so if you're easily offended, stop listening now. And without further ado, here's what we sound like talking.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, don't forget to say you will.
That's what she said.
I didn't say away. I guess fireworks too. Fire!
I'll tell you.
Fire.
It's illegal.
Or you still want to guess, or should I tell you?
No, go for it.
I'll tell you then. Brian Beach Memoirs, Biloxi Blues, and Broadway Bound.
Yeah, there is zero chance I would have ever gotten that.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm a big fan of Neil Simon. So.
Yeah, I like Neil Simon too. I love The Odd Couple too. Don't ask me why, but I do.
When I saw that on stage, Jamie Farr played Oscar Madison.
Really?
He's still doing stand-up.
Huh. Maybe you should quit.
Yeah, he's pretty raunchy, I guess, with his stand-up. I've only ever seen him on TV shows from the old days, like Red Skelton and MASH.
Hmm.
Back then, he had quite the schnoz.
Wow.
What happened to the rest of it?
I didn't look that low.
Rabbi, where are you?
He's Catholic. No, I know he is because he's friends with a priest I know in Massachusetts.
Oh, well, there you go.
And
how friendly are they?
Yeah, he doesn't go that way. He's married and has 3 kids, one of which is married.
Oh.
And Lebanese.
Why do you keep throwing that in?
Oh, no, he's right. The priest is Lebanese, as is Jamie Farr.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, and Felix Unger when on stage.
Hey, Oscar. Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but he played the priest actually on MASH.
Okay. I remember who you're talking about. Okay, you want to do that monologue again so that we can try to capture that since it seems to be going now?
Oh yeah, that part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
You can do it, Casey.
And then I'll do the joke again.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Let her rip. That's what she
Have it your way.
Go to Burger.
You know what my way is? Hot. How about a hamburger that's fucking hot? Don't blame me. I'm from Massachusetts. Dick, you still there, babe? Sorry about that. 10 miles from the airport. I'm starting to lose it here. Stay with me, baby. Talk me down. Dick, you know, in the waning hours of your administration, it seems appropriate to look back at your long years of public service and conclude that as our president, you bit the big one. Wazoo City, babe. What can I say? And you know what? This cracks me up. I voted for you. Yes, I gave you my vote, my sacred Democrat trust. And you know what you did? You pissed all over it. What the hell? Guys like you piss all over everything. You piss all over the country. You piss all over yourselves. You piss all over me.
Just a piss load of piss, huh?
Yeah.
Again.
Where was that when we were making the movie?
Bravo. There's a lot of verb.
Yeah, and then he goes into about this guy Sammy being the backbone of the nation. Then he goes back into this thing about Dick, Driggy Dick there, and saying, Dick, I'm talking now. All right, I'm talking. You're listening. Then he talks about what's going on in the news.
Tell you what, just do the rest of the monologue. Go ahead.
Casey,
Well,
you're doing a great
do
job.
this. I haven't
pick a
memorized it
part.
all, but I'll do this next
Pick a
part.
part, sure.
So I'll do the newspaper part.
Right.
Have you seen the newspaper lately? Grandma lives in a crate. Sewage shuts down Jersey beaches. Saudi prince buys Howard Johnson's. What the hell is going on here? It wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't, but it is. Schmucks like you are telling us it isn't. Everything's fine. It's great. It's Miller time. What Miller time? The woods are burning, Dick. What do we do?
Wow.
How ironic that somebody named Dick would be called a schmuck.
Dick, schmuck,
Well, you can-
Miller time.
And then I haven't memorized
I'll
beyond
drink
that,
to that.
but you can figure out where it's going to end up at the end of the monologue.
Casey, I have to, again,
Basically, at the end of the monologue, he says,
Cheers.
we do what we have to do. Kill the president.
that's very good. No, and I'm going to repeat what Nate said earlier. Where the hell was this when we were making the movie?
Yeah.
Because somewhere inside my clean-shaven friend was an actor waiting to jump out. And instead, it stayed, trapped inside, and all we got was...
Yeah, and I had to sing that song, too.
Wait a minute. Let me...
Should have said try to remember. I could sing that better.
All right.
The joke that I have for you is that I almost feel like we were going, come out, wherever you are. That's what she said.
Of course, if I sing try to remember, in the parts that I wouldn't be singing, I would need you guys to go follow.
The Yellow Brick Road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my parts would be, well, I'll do it without that, and then you'll see where your follows would be.
Well, look. When we needed you, we asked for American Pie, and we got American
Try
Pie.
to remember.
The movie.
Try to remember the kind of September when wait, I messed up. Let me start over. Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow.
I'll never follow.
Try to remember when life was so tender that no one wept except the willow. Try to remember when life was so tender that dreams were kept beside your pillow. Try to remember when life was so tender that no love was an ember about to billow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow.
Or
Saved by the Bell.
Deep in December, it's nice to remember, although you know the snow will follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, thou hurt a heart is hollow. Where do they go? Where? Deep in December, where did they go? Deep in December, it's nice to remember The fire of September that made us mellow. Deep in December, our hearts should remember and follow. And of course, that song is Try to Remember. It's from the Fantastics, which ran for many years in New York, and then that they had to tear down that theater, but they found another theater, so they've got it going again in New York. But it's been also done in many other parts of the country, and even worldwide. It's one of the few, or actually pretty much the only American musical that's been done in over 30 languages.
Well, Casey,
And what I sung was sung by the character El Gallo. And
Casey,
it opens up the play.
I appreciate the original version. I will say this, in all honesty, stick to acting.
Oh yeah, and Jerry Orbach played the original El Gallo on stage.
Wow.
So as we break into our pizzas,
I don't know, they cool down a little.
that's fine. Allow me to ask a question then.
Yes, sir.
You've said that you're unemployed. It's been about a year now since you've been out of school. What kind of places have you applied to?
Anything and everything.
Such as?
Well, all over the map. Retail, food, nothing really in healthcare because I don't qualify for anything in healthcare unless I want to, mop the floors at the hospital or something.
Give it a try.
Oh, God. Sorry.
All right, so I think we've reached a point where we can probably pause this for a few moments, and then we'll get back to some serious business.
Because
the barn door is open.
Oh, well, it's going to be open again in a sec. So.
Oh! What? Cut.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. I got to go put out the fire.
Don't hurt yourself.
There's a fire?
Well, it's better than traveling Cosby kids in the pool. It's fine, then. Keep talking.
Alright. In between bites.
Yeah.
So,
What do you got?
our friend here can act.
Yeah, like his.
Yeah, what does give? Well,
Surely not a woman to him, but What's the old BS Hannibal line? All good things to those who wait.
that is BS.
Yeah, I know. I've been living that way for years. waiting, nothing happens.
All good things to those who wait. That was in honor of Casey,
The late Casey?
You gotta,
Born, question mark, died today.
The sun came out today, round and third, heading for home.
Life's good, Casey, isn't it?
You know that song, right?
It's about baseball.
Round and third, heading for home. Bunch of other, round, high, and handsome man. Basically, I'll get to the chorus part so that you can recognize the song. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
Yeah.
Today.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
Today.
Today.
Look at me. I can be center field. So, buttons.
Wow. Casey, I don't know what's happened to you, but you seem to,
Yeah, you turned around. What gives?
What do you mean? You know about my sarcasm.
your sarcasm and your ability to act. I'm very, very bothered. But in a good way, I suppose.
Thank you, my intellectual friend.
Yeah. Whatever intellect I had, past tense, is float away.
College, huh?
Well, it's just one of those things where if you're not engaged in any sort of, intellectual discussion on a daily basis, you kind of lose that ability. The ability to debate requires having someone to debate with.
All right, Michael. Here's another question for you.
Oh, Christ. There we go.
The popular song Age of Aquarius was originally written for what musical?
Oh my God.
Titanic.
We're getting hit with musical questions here.
Springtime for Hitler.
Was it Springtime for Hitler?
Yeah.
Uh,
I'll give you a hint. Vietnam.
Non-musical.
South Pacific.
And so it wasn't Oklahoma. Let's see.
The hills are alive with the sound of bed singing.
Cabaret. Boy, Casey, you're asking me about musicals. You're asking the absolute worst person.
Oh yeah.
My knowledge of music. What? Like when you ask a film question, anyway, why are you directing it towards me? Nate is the film
also done on
aficionado.
I should have done on stage first.
Well, I don't know.
As I said, South Pacific.
No. Give up.
Yeah.
He gave up about 40 minutes ago.
Hair.
Hair. You know what? Of all the musicals in my head, Hair was one of the ones that was popping up to the top. It needed a trim.
Yeah, speaking of Alan Naked,
Okay, how about this one?
Whoa!
he was in the musical on the
Which
stage.
university? How about this one? Which university did Burt Reynolds play fullback for?
Was it the University of Miami in Florida?
It was in Florida, but
Florida State.
Yep.
I thought it was a prison guard at the Orange Yard.
Yeah, it was San Quentin prison.
Which two universities have an owl as the mascot?
Have an owl as the mascot. Temple?
Yeah.
And Hooters.
The other one is in Texas. In Houston, I believe. It's referred to as
Texas.
Stanford
No,
of Texas.
it's not Texas Christian. They had the Horned Frog.
No,
don't
this school actually has a high.
they? Rice.
Yeah.
Rice.
I was gonna say high
Great
academic.
school.
How did Penn State get the nickname?
The Nittany Lion.
Yeah.
Someone stepped on a lion's tail. I don't know.
Combination of the lion, the wildcat, plus the Nittany Mountains in Pennsylvania.
You just summarized Jane Sanders very well.
Wow.
How about this one? Toss up to both of you. What year is the for Thunderbird and the classic American Graffiti?
Let's see, American Graffiti was 73, I believe. So it has to be younger than 73.
I'll go 72.
I think it was set in the 50s, if I remember.
Oh.
Yeah,
So, right in the
55.
close.
53?
He's closer, 56.
Okay. So the movie American Graffiti was set in or around 56. Got it.
Okay, how about this? When used one way, this word means not legal.
Pedophile.
When used another way, it means sickly.
Pedophile. Ew.
You'll be ill.
Sweet.
You know, we're going to have a long pause in between dialogue on this recording if I have to sit here and maybe think about what it could be.
You do that, I'll do a space filler. Keep going. What are you tweeting about?
Could be
You don't even have an account.
What could it be? I mean, what is it?
Casey, you're pulling out some real doozies this evening. That's what she said. I'm drawing a blank. Nate, any ideas?
I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. That's one of the few times you'll hear me admit that.
When used in the legal sense, it's pronounced invalid. When used in the sickly sense, it's pronounced invalid.
Couldn't you have given the hint that it's spelled the same but not pronounced the same?
Couldn't you have given me any hint at all?
Well, I thought I said when pronounced one way.
Well, yeah, but I mean, pronounced one way can be delivered one way, delivered another. It doesn't necessarily mean the exact pronunciation is supposed to be the spelling. So, semantics.
Semantics.
And as Carlin says, it's all bullshit and it's bad for you.
Yes and yes.
Since this is also partially a retrospective, let's ask the questions of what do we remember about Burlington College that we liked and disliked.
The things I liked. Well, I can go first. The things I liked. I liked the students.
Oh, no. Oh, damn it.
I just fed the dog. Well played. I like the students.
That's about it, huh?
You know, we all know who's got the longest list of dislikes.
Alright, here we go.
I wonder.
Here we go. Alright. The things I liked about college. The fellow students were great for the most part. I would say that I got along with 95% of the student body.
Whereas the other 5%?
I don't know.
Mixed bag?
Yeah, those that didn't really have a much of a relationship with that. I just saw
The
them
ones that
pass.
came and left, pretty much.
Yeah,
Came.
those folks.
They came, went to class, and left.
Those folks. And
They
I would
still
say
had lives
about,
outside Burlington College.
they're not allowed to have a life outside of Burlington College. That's not allowed. And I would say that about half the faculty at the school I really got along with. Those were, you know, and also I like the concept of the school. It's in the execution sometimes that things go awry. I like the idea.
Oh, it was always the executions. Like, look at the way people got fired.
Absolutely. I like the concept that people can really determine their own destiny in college. I mean, when you get out of college and even before college, you really are determining your own destiny. So I like that college is a continuation of that. So you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go with things. That part I liked.
Well, unless you're one of those people that, and it's rare, obviously, not many people, but some people put themselves already on that track in high school because they go to like a high school that is a science and math or, you know, some other high school that's centered on one thing or, you know.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
Especially if they wind up at MIT in college, you know.
Yeah, I did not go to. I went to a traditional high school, but I like there are a lot of things to like about kind of the shell of the college. That's what happens inside the shell that sometimes does not work.
Would you care to name names? Like the third floor?
Well, they're no longer on the 3rd floor, so
Okay.
Now they're on one floor higher in the new building.
Okay, so the 4th floor, but formerly the 3rd floor. Go.
yeah, pretty much the things that I didn't like about the college, like I said, I liked about half the faculty and half the staff. I would say the other half were the largest problem, and also,
Oh, that's a nice description of somebody.
and also the kind of the sense that because you were determining where you wanted things to go, when it was all said and done, when college was over, you were kind of left floating on your own. It was kind of a situation where you had to, I mean, they expected you to determine your own future, which is fine, but what I've found since I've been out of school is that
The future wasn't there.
the skills that I acquired in college do not translate into the world outside of the school. I mean, sure, I can sit and debate with anyone about a given topic, especially topics related to politics, but how do you convert that into an income? And I've yet to find the answer. So that's not necessarily that's not necessarily the college's fault, but it certainly is a problem. So I would say to kind of wrap everything up, the things I like, the students who are all, for the most part, fairly open-minded, good people, just kind of making their way, trying to find their own footing. I like.
Stop trying to be democratic. Just give them the.
Well, 95, like I said, 95%. So it's not as if I'm sugarcoating it. I mean, I would have to really stretch it to say that the 5% I didn't really know or were a big problem, because they're just not. But and then half the faculty I like, and I like the mission of the school. The things I didn't like were the execution of the mission. The other half of the faculty, and the fact that after college, like the skills I acquired there don't translate into anything of value.
Okay, I'm going to try to pull some names out of you.
Oh boy.
Well,
how about Colonel? Would you admit that that's one that you disliked or liked?
Well, on that one, I'm just going to say that we definitely had some disagreements, and I'm going to kind of remember I studied politics. I'm going to take the political out on this one. I'm going to say we just had some disagreements, but I'm no longer at the school. So that's all I can really say at this point. I'm getting a lot of nodding over here.
Well, you got to remember. I mean, even before you arrived back. I don't really know if he's probably there when you were there originally. But before you arrived back, there was a cat on the 3rd floor that had been phased out by Jane so that she could combine. That's when she started combining, things together and giving people more duties than they really should have.
Keep going. We don't know who this is.
I'm trying to remember his name. He was still there when you were there, at least towards the end of his time in Burlington College. No. He was on the 3rd floor. When I was there, actually, they thrusted him into being the RA because of the happening that happened between Jackie and Gina.
This is too easy when you say thrusting.
Yeah, at this point, Casey, I am completely lost.
First name is Jack. I can't remember his last name.
Off.
No, not Jack Off. Jack Austin. Jack Austin, that's his name.
I'm sure I come up with off and that gives him the answer.
Jack Austin is his name.
Well, it was close to off. Austin. Off Austin. You ever been to
Get
Austin?
off, Austin.
Oh, all right. So that's about all the information that you're going to pry from me. Yeah,
Well, what about
I'd
people
rather
on the
not
third
do
floor?
like a roster breakdown where you look at everyone who's there or who was there and kind of say, this is my
How about the
opinion
roller
of-
derby
Oh
girl?
no, I was just trying to figure out where you stood with that.
How about the roller derby girl?
Character. I wasn't
Well,
going to give you a public look.
Yeah, I wish, hey, I'll just say this. I wish the college well because it's, like I said earlier, it's the, well, it does need some luck, that's for sure. But it's really the concept that I like. Let's see if the execution can finally catch up.
What about the derby girl?
Who are we
on the
referring
third
to?
floor?
I have no idea. Look, if you're expecting me,
Derby
Casey,
girl.
to like name names and
The roller derby girl on the third floor.
Betsy?
Yeah,
Betsy is I never had a problem with Betsy.
I never did either.
I'll tell you the only one I didn't have a problem with on third floor was, other than Marie Crosby who was up there, was,
Sally?
yeah.
Sally, yes. Well, yeah, again, I mean, if we're gonna going to talk directly about individuals and name names,
I never had a problem with Sally, never had a problem with Betsy, never had a problem with Melissa.
I'll say I'm just putting out there factually as to who I didn't have a problem with on whatever floor.
Yeah. Well,
I
And
never
that
had a
way
problem
I'm
with
not
Maria.
insulting people.
why don't we ask Casey what did you like about your time in college and what did you not?
Yeah, and remember, feel free to answer this any way you want to, because my list is way too freaking long to get into anything.
Yeah.
Well, like yourself, I liked a good number of the fellow students. And I liked a good number of the faculty. And I liked, I liked the classes I had, even the really obscure ones.
Weren't they mostly obscure?
Early on they were.
Such as, like, the
There's the-
psychology?
Such as Myths and Mysteries of Ancient Greece with the late Shams. That was one of the most obscure classes. And I did have a world religions course with somebody who I think you had a class with.
Like Kanye?
And we talked about that and I said she was more fit for world religions.
She's fit. She's fit for a straitjacket, is what she's fit for.
Well, she did teach world religions well.
I mean, when you start talking about black men's girths in the middle of a class that's supposed to be about peace and justice, there's a problem.
And I did have a shamanism class with Michael Watson.
All right, Casey. So let's get back to the main point here. You liked the students, you liked some of the classes, you liked some of the faculty, or maybe most of the faculty.
Most of the faculty.
All right. And what did you not like?
What did I not like? I didn't like the biggest thing I didn't like.
We can move that over, too.
The biggest thing I didn't like. Sorry, I'm fine with that. The biggest thing I didn't like, straightforward, is
Straightforward, hands down.
every time that somebody was let go, or either they let go or they left for whatever reason, either they let go or they just left. Well, actually, no, it was whenever they were let go, because if they just left, then it was all open about them leaving. But if they were let go, there's a whole bunch of, well, we can't really say why. We can't really give you any information. We'll just,
We're just brushing.
and then they just, came up with things off the top of their heads just to have a reason for media or whatever, and
Or just bullshit you. Yeah. Hey, speaking of not giving any reasons, how come the barn door is still open?
sorry about that, folks.
The cows haven't come home.
That's true, they haven't.
Make sure that they do.
Okay.
And make sure that they're secured for the night.
Oh, they will be.
By the way, for the record, how can the cows not have come home when you're attached to them?
That's a mystery.
All right.
A mystery.
So- I'd say, without further ado,
That's what she said.
let's see, Nate. Maybe we should start with what you didn't like, because I'm not sure you're going to be able to come up with anything you did.
Well, no, the shorter list is the stuff that I liked.
All right, what did you like?
Just hold it regularly. She thinks that you're going to give her something that way.
Oh.
For those who can't see what's going on, Casey's holding up a piece of pizza and my dog is tweeting about it. Stop tweeting, Maggie. You don't even have an account. Anyway, the things that I dislike, or the things that I liked. Well, let's say I liked certain faculty members who I can rattle off pretty easily. Alan Nichols, Rosie Critchfield, I think the last name was, Sandy Barrett, Sally Blanchard, I think it is, Gordon Glover, Sarah Mel before she turned tail. There's a handful of other folks.
Peter
Curtis. Peter Curtis, thank you. The head of the photography department. Who else? Jeff Wager. Who else?
Some people before they were released.
Yeah, Janice Grill. What was his name? Eric something or other. I took English with him first semester.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I think that's about it. As I said, it's a short list of staff and faculty that I liked.
What about Brenda?
Oh yeah, Brenda, Judy.
Yeah, Brenda, Judy.
Brenda Fitzgerald, Judy Audie, yeah. Who else was...
Jessica?
Yeah, well...
I guess me a little bit more since I worked for her, got to,
Anna.
I remember you when you were working
I got to get to know her a little bit better than you guys, I guess.
Let's keep it clean, Casey.
It was clean. I mean it in a clean way. I also like Jessica Allard. Jessica Allard, yeah. She's the second librarian I worked
Hey,
for.
you got your rocks out.
She's not a bad person, and she's pretty fine looking too.
Yeah, that's right. What just happened?
Yeah, what was that? You uttered something that's going to appear on the World Wide Web. Clean it up.
All I said was that Jessica Allard's pretty fine looking too.
I don't think anybody in this room is going to disagree, but let's at least put it politely and say that her boyfriend is lucky.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Racist.
Whatever his name is.
And Nate. All right. So you named off faculty.
And of course Anna.
And obviously most of the students, I would say, you got along with, or not
Well, let's be honest about that too. The people that I liked from students were Spencer Mooney, Cameron Paulson, Casey, yourself, Michael Shore when he was there, Amy when she was there, Kevin Mastriani when he was there, Ian Sherman, Tracy Phelps. I think it's Phelps or Phillips. One of the two, I keep forgetting. Tracy, I guess we'll just go with Tracy. Tracy, Ian Sherman, you guys, Michael Shore, Amy, Dylan Pudiak,
The other Dylan?
Dylan Kelly, Dylan
Thomas.
Thank you.
Lots of Dylans.
Matt
Matt Dillon.
Yeah.
I know one student that, you know, I wouldn't say you were up in arms about her, but she's kind of, I think, creeped you out a little bit in some ways.
Go ahead, I dare you.
Natalie Tack.
Wait
You
a
didn't
minute.
creep me out, and you're just right into something. Get ready, folks. Here it comes. Here's that story I promised. The Old Show. I swear to God, this is true, so help me. We did the show called The Old Show. Both these guys were connected to it. Here, let me get closer to the mic. So both these guys were connected to The Old Show. We did it. It ran something like 3 hours. Thanks to the gentleman in the booth. And who missed every cure that he had, even though he was paid.
We asked for a refund.
Yeah, and he took 50% off of his back pocket. Anyway, I'll let you figure out that joke for yourselves. Anyway, so the LD show, we had 4 camera guys. Casey was one of them. KHOURY, better known as Guy, was another one. There was Ben Youngbear, and the last name was Joe Baskowitz, who was shooting from what I call the balcony area because it was the highest point in the theater room at the Main Street Landing Performing Arts Center, for those who are so curious that they have to look it up. So that was the kind of the setup, and now Joe had been flirting heavily with Natalie Tack for a while prior to the show, and they'd fought around a bit as far as necking goes. And it was like, okay, we know where this is going, just hurry up and get it over with. So, and I use the terms extremely loosely. As did she. So, come in. That's what she said. And did. So, there's your tip off. So what happened was, we were shooting, and this was all live on the spot. We didn't really have anything to do. So we were off the cuff going quickly as we could, and the camera guy was shooting, and I guess it hit intermission, and they went and started necking in the back stairwell backstage. Well, I happened to be giving a tour, and I happened to find them, but they didn't see me. So we just kept going with the tour. So then we get to the end of the show, and it was a Q&A, which is in the 4th episode, for those who are curious. The highlights of that Q&A, because there was a lot of dead time in it. But, so we were doing the Q&A, and some wise guy said something, I called him out on it, and Maggie, shut up!
That's exactly what you said.
Except there was no Maggie in the audience at that point. And if she keeps this up, she won't be here either. But my dog keeps tweeting, "You don't have an account for the last time." And stop using mine, damn it. And Natalie's up in the balcony seating area, and she's sitting on Joe's lap while he's shooting. And I catch her playing with his tripod. And I mean the one with the camera on it, in case anybody was curious. So she goes and she realigns his shot. Again with the camera. and
Oh, Lord.
This just gets worse with every telling, I'll tell you. This is the 15th rendering of the story, and it just keeps getting worse. So, she... And I don't even have an audience, that's the worst part. And so she goes and realigns the shot. I catch this from the stage as I'm answering somebody's question. I said, "Miss, you got a minute?" Yeah, she looks over, not my exact words, but you'll see it on the tape. And she goes and looks at me. I said, "Miss, would you mind not playing with his tripod during the show? Wait until the show's over and get a room." So she, turns beet red, and you'll see the reaction shot on the tape because a guy was lucky enough to capture it, so you'll see the reaction shot. But that was that show. Then immediately after, she slept with Joe, and they were on again, off again for a while. Now, cut to the end of the academic year. Natalie and I aren't getting along at all for various reasons, the least of which is I know how many guys in housing she slept with. And I won't get into that here. That's another podcast in and of itself. So, there's enough material, believe me. So then we get to the point of she and I aren't getting along. We get to probably the last few days of the school year. And she decides to try to outdo me with a joke or a ha-ha, I know something you don't know moment. Because I was outsmarting her left and right. I won't say how, because that's insulting to her, but I was outdoing her at most things. Except that one that I just went on about at great length. That's a podcast in and of itself. But that's it. We get to the point she's pissed as hell at me, and I guess I had set something up really well where she says, "I know something you don't know." I said, "Oh yeah, what's that?" She goes, "I made out with Joe at your show, and you didn't know about it."
Oh, yeah.
I said, "I got news for you. I know something you don't know." She goes, "What's that?" I said, "I knew that you and Joe made out at the show. I caught it on camera, and it's going on TV."
Well, Nate, you can't write this stuff. I mean, the stuff you experienced, you can't write this stuff. I mean, people necking at the show,
people not paying to get in when
and just the stuff,
the cost was going to charity,
and even the stuff on campus too.
Yeah.
And even the stuff on campus too. Like I won't mention her name, but he walked in on a certain somebody and
I'll mention it. I'll mention it. Here we go. Here's another one. You just got me on another one. Good job. So this is the person you're talking about in the instance of not paying. Let's go there first. The person that didn't pay going in was Billy Greenfield. That I will call her out on. She did not pay to a charity event. What the hell? So that's my grievance there. Now, This one is humorous, and I'm not going to name names because there were so many, and it's such an intricate plot that it would bog it down if I try and name names to tell you each person, so I'm just going to tell you the story. Now, these guys have suffered through this probably 15 times, and this is going to be 26. I'll let you figure out the joke there. Yeah, so here's what happened. There was a kegger, illegal kegger, at Haswell House, and I claim no knowledge of this inasmuch as I was asleep for the majority of it. So I woke up around 2 o'clock in the morning because I felt an earthquake. And by that I mean Dermot Thomas Sears was walking out of the house with the keg. And it's not his fault. The front door banged. And my room was right next to the front door. So we know why. There was an earthquake. So I was out in the middle of the earthquake. And I put on my pants to go out to the outside area to see what the hell was going on. Yes, I should have stayed asleep. I know.
No, I meant the pants part.
Yeah, I would have fit right in. I would have looked at the black guy, except white. Now you know I'm going to get persecuted by the NAACP for that one.
Yes, you will.
I should hasten to add, I have no problems with black people. I have no problems with white people, Jewish, dead people, especially dead people. I have no problem with.
Yeah, they're out of my ear.
Yeah, they're out of everybody's.
Pretty much anybody.
Besides, you can walk all over them. Anyway, no, that's a joke. I don't like walking cemeteries. It reminds me of mortality. Anyway.
Long story short, you don't have racial problems.
Right. I don't have racial problems. The fact that this guy just happened to steal from me just didn't help, you know?
So you don't have them, but you could.
Yeah, he quickly developed into a stranger. Let's put that.
And he was from Philadelphia.
Right.
There's no brotherly love. And no brotherly love, apparently.
No. He steals my pizza one more time, I'll tell you, boy. The frozen kind with the cheese and the crust, too.
It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
I'll give him a
Oh, great. Now let's see how many free pizzas we get from that company.
Yes, please send all free pizzas to the following address.
55, no. No. When you move, we'll put up your address.
Yeah.
Sits, Hell, Michigan.
Oh, wait a minute. That's the entire state.
That's what she said. No.
At least Michigan has enough sense not to play in the aircraft carrier.
This is
current
true.
season.
Anyway, we're getting way too far off base. So.
All right, we're getting back to that night. You're without pants. Or
Yeah.
no, you do have pants in this version.
Yeah. So I put on pants. And I went out to the, look at how much editing I have to do. So we went out to the, I went out to the kitchen. First off, when your floor sounds like, you know that there's an issue.
Who's doing the waxing?
The couple on the couch. That's never mind the interracial couple on the sofa seat in the kitchen. So I go and okay, Maggie, shut up.
Well, Maggie was there.
That she was. That she was. Not the four-legged one. The couple, what kind of four-legged one I was seeing?
And not the one that teaches.
4 legs and 4 arms.
And not the one that teaches at Burlington
None of them
College.
were in the right place.
Not the four-legged one, and not the one that teaches at Burlington College.
They were all over each other. No, so I'm in the kitchen, and as I'm walking through, as I say, the feet going across the floor. There's beer all over the place. Sticky situation, to say the least.
It gets stickier.
And how? Hey, that's a good Native American name if you think about it. And how? Anyway, hey, I just came up with a name for a rabbi that's an Indian. Mohawk. And I'll let you 10 to 1 he uses a tomahawk. Anyway.
Feeling a little short today.
Oh.
Just a ritter off the top, please. Anyway.
So get to the semen and we're not talking.
No masturbations here. As we dissect pop culture. So, no pun intended, pop culture. Anyway, so, speaking of pop culture, I look to my left as I'm going through the room, and I see a couple, as I said, interracial, going at it pretty well. Guy has his hands down the girl's pants, they're kissing heavily and whatnot. I go through and I turn right into the living room. Bigger mistake. Now, it's dark in the living room, thank heavens, because I didn't get to see the guy's face right away. But this young lady, who was about under 5 feet, and took about 3 inches.
Wow. Wow, that was a bad night.
For which one of them? So she was on the couch going at it. Now I need to get into the particulars. But as they say in the porn industry, it looked like shit going into other shit.
Wow.
And so we get to the point of I see this to my right, and I turn and I see the guy's face. Now, mind you, the girl is spread eagle on the couch. The guy's going at it. You can see everything. Nothing's left to the imagination. Except why the light isn't working. So I quickly make a scamper towards the exit and make it out alive. And as I go out the door, I see Dylan in his car drinking. That was the last I saw of Dylan for a while. And so I run to the corner. I said, I'm going to go for a walk. I'll be back in 20 minutes and break this up if it doesn't break up, because this is ridiculous, the amount of noise that's going on. And mind you, I just want to backtrack and say, the couple on the couch, not only was the guy, drunk off his ass, and she was drunk off her ass, going at it, but you know it's bad when the girl looks at her watch and goes, is that about it?
Are we finished here?
Yeah.
And I already taken my Advil and gone to sleep at night.
She looked like she was about ready to go out. In more ways than one. So anyway, yeah, I'm out taking a walk. I come back 20 minutes later. I'm like, okay, this is done. And as I'm coming by the windows, I see this girl, giving the guy an oral examination. That's the euphemism of the week. And after he failed his oral examination,
he wasn't quick enough to come up with the answers, let's put it that way. So, he failed his oral examination. I go around to the front of the house, I get up to the front stairs, and you know what, the door is closed and locked in my face. Thank heavens I had my key. The interracial couple goes up the stairs as I let myself in. So I let myself in, I see the couple going upstairs, the girl ahead, the guy staggering. And the guy was walking straight. I don't understand why the girl wasn't walking straight. She hadn't done anything yet. So, I think flat stereotype. So we get to the point of I turn the corner stupidly into the living room, and now I see this girl giving the guy a hand job. I see her, she doesn't see me. I go into the room, and I said to her, "Hey, how's it going?" And she looks up, she goes, "Oh, hey, hey!" "Hey, how are you?" I said, "Fine, I shake hands with her, but I see you're busy."
Looks like you got your hands full there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not quite.
Right, so I went and I walked off after saying I shake hands with her, but I see you're busy. And so I go into my room, she finishes up apparently and disappears. I come back out of my room. Now, I go into the kitchen and I see the interracial couple girl staggering around, barely clothed. Let's put it this way. The twins were walking on their own. All over the room. So, the twins are walking on a beer floor. And bare floor. And it's been a both, let's be honest. And so she collects herself for the first time that night. And comes over and we start shooting the shit. What we said is unimportant other than she'd had a shitty summer, I had a shitty summer. So we're in the middle of the conversation. She says, "Well, shit happens, what are you gonna do?" And I said, "I think you already did it." So she, yeah. So she goes, and by this point, the sunburned gentleman comes in the room and starts dragging her towards the front door to get rid of her. Somewhere along the line, she gets a phone call and goes, I got it. Okay, well, get it. So she goes and she answers the phone and staggers over to the front door. Now, how she made it to the front door without falling, I'll never know. But she was up against the door, leaning quite heavily. And, now mind you, I just come through the door, it's unlocked. So I come through the door, it's unlocked, she's there. And, oh boy, was this a beaut. She's there, leaning against the door. And, she tries to open the door while she's leaning against it on the phone talking. Usually it doesn't work. So she goes over to me, again staggering, and the digits fall out. Not her hand, not her phone. And so she collects herself as she says, that door is locked in too many different ways, you gotta let me out of here. So I help her over to the wall so she has something to lean against as I go and open the door. And I go and I open the door because she couldn't figure out that it was unlocked and she was leaning against it. So I open the door, she comes by, says thank you very much, walks out the door. Now I hold the screen door for her as she walks out. The black dude grabs hold of the other door and is holding it so it doesn't bang against the wall. Now she walks by me down the stairs, stops, gets the idea, turn around, comes back up, walks right by me. The black guy's standing there, holding the door, as I said, behind me. And she turns to him and at the top of her lungs yells, "Fuck you!" in his face. And I'm standing there, dead quiet, not sure what to make of this at this point.
Damn.
So then she goes and she staggers off down the road. I would have said walk, but that would have been hardly inaccurate. So she staggers off down the road towards China Express. And I'm standing there in true movies form. We both look out to our right, watching her go down the street, staggering. And we both have our mouths open, gaping. And I swear to God, it looked like a scene out of a freaking movie. So I went back into the house with the guy and I said to him, "Hey, what was with that explicit exclamation?" And he goes, "Oh, she's mad because I kicked her out of bed."
Oh.
Which is another story in and of itself. So that's the story of that fateful night.
Yeah.
Which you'll hear in various incarnations, I'm sure, over the course of time if you listen to these podcasts.
Yeah. And I didn't hear that until Nathan had told me anything of it. And of course, I guess I was so passed out I couldn't even hear someone yell "fuck you." So.
Wait a minute, you were living in the house, is that correct?
But he was in the back of the house on what used to be the garbage room.
Oh, they stuck you out with the garbage, Casey.
Well, I had that room before him.
Oh!
But I was smart enough to ask for the other room because I knew that would get drafted in a space heater 24/7.
Yeah, you know how some of the houses are built, the mudroom they call them.
They put you in the mudroom, Casey.
Yeah, and then that would go on to be Natalie Tack's room when she was in housing.
Mm. And then they finally figured out that it wasn't a fucking room, and stopped putting human beings out there.
And now all three are being sold.
Actually, they had one other person in there. The last year that we were in there.
Actually, yeah. And now they're selling all of that housing, and they moved to the new campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they probably have to wait till the end of this year because they still have students in there, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And they're having trouble getting the people out of the housing unit on the property that they want.
There's that mental center. The mental place where
they're having
mental
difficulty getting people out of there. They're just not willing to move.
Yeah. So just to quickly tag up something that was said earlier at the likes and dislikes. There are a lot more dislikes, and you'll hear them as part of a lecture that I did and pre-recorded. So you'll hear that much later. I'm waiting to put that up because I don't want to have a bad start to everything. I want a few good ones before we get to the nasty nitty gritty. Anyway, so.
Sounds reasonable. All right, so I would say that the consensus here is that we all liked each other's company and not the company of many others.
Right. Right, and we all kind of did what we had to do to get through. I guess is the.
That's true. We all three of us graduated, and using our experiences at the college to do absolutely nothing.
And there's
with them.
There's a few things that.
Although I have to say, there's a lot of great source material. Would you agree, Casey?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been doing some stuff. With
I mean, there's
you have.
There's a couple of sessions, or I should say. There's one that was on campus that was towards the end of my career that was organized by Burlington College when I had that session with the screenwriter, and a bunch of other students did too. And then there was the one that was not organized by Burlington College, but they, of course, knew about it, and some of the classes went down to it, and that was the event with Bryan Singer.
Yes, Bryan Singer being the creator, one of the creators of House, and the director of X-Men, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The first two, the good ones.
Yeah.
The good ones.
And the Usual Suspects.
The Usual Suspects, of course.
Which I honestly didn't like, but I understand it's probably some movie history.
I loved it, yeah.
Yourself?
I probably fall somewhere in between loving it and not liking it a great deal. Yeah. To me, it was
fair.
Yeah, it was. And I agree with your point that I understand why a lot of folks find it compelling. That makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like Titanic wasn't a great story, but a lot of people found it compelling. Same thing with Avatar. Notice a pattern with the last two?
Cameron!
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, what are you going to do with Titanic, you know?
Yeah, what are you going to have to do after Titanic? The whole damn thing sunk.
I never let go, Jack. Whoops.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyhow.
While we're talking about pop culture stuff, let's tag up the Oscars here, since we had talked briefly about it last time. Natalie Portman got Best Actress. Everybody's thoughts?
Not a bad idea.
I have not seen Black Swan, but
I haven't seen it, but it's not a bad idea either.
I'm surprised, I suppose, but certainly she had the ability. She just didn't always show her acting chops. Attack of the Clones, awful, and so on.
Well, I kind of can't fault her, though, for Toy Boy Lucas's prequel trilogy. Because he was the director on those after all, and, you know,
if you want to go back,
it's the responsibility of the director to get the best out of their actors.
If you also want to go back to when she was quite young, there's a film called Beautiful Girls.
Yeah, I've actually seen, and she did a great job as a child in that film.
She did great in that. The Professional, which I like the international version more, Leon Le Professional. And she was also in, what was the other one she was in? I know you know it. Closer.
Closer, yes. Very good performance in Closer.
And Cold Mountain. She was the rape victim.
Oh, that's right. Sure. A very small part.
Yeah. But she did good with it. I think Goya's Ghost. She was good in that. She was good in My Blueberry Nights. Not a great movie, but she did okay. And then she was excellent in Black Swan, I thought. And I also really liked her in The Other Woman and No Strings Attached. Which, again, not great movies, but she's good. I kind of feel the same way about Amanda Seyfried. I'm hoping she'll get an Oscar someday, but let's not talk about Red Riding Hood. Incest galore.
Well, I can't really say anything. Haven't seen it yet, so.
Yeah,
Don't be sorry.
Okay, so
Best Actor, Colin Firth. Again, I know you guys haven't seen it, but what do you think?
Based on what I have seen from him,
he can act. That's pretty obvious.
He can even sing in Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Yes. So no, not a surprise. I guess with him, to me at least, it felt like it was only a matter of time. He just needed the right part.
Fair enough. And he came close with The Single Man. Because he got back-to-back nominations, but won this year for King's Speech. Excellent movie.
Mm.
And now they're being just effing greedy. They re-released it with a PG-13 rating.
Mm.
So they widen the audience, and the critics are panning it for that. Which, I mean, let's be honest. It won Best Picture. It won Best Actor. It won Best Director. It won Best Screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you can do any better with a freaking PG-13 rating at the box office than you've already done, plus getting Oscar Gold? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood greed at its
Anywho.
best right there. Sorry, Mr. Weinstein, but let's be honest, call a spade a spade. There's no black people here, right?
No.
Or Jewish in reference to, you know, a lot of people in Hollywood.
Wow, Casey. Buddy.
Well, I guess we know
Let me
which
in.
one's going to be getting to Hollywood first.
Yeah, there you go.
Springtime for him. No.
Anywho, keeping with the Oscars.
So, as
The
you
supporting
mentioned,
roles.
Best Picture.
I guess do the Best Picture first.
Yeah, Best Picture. That's right.
That was King's Speech.
King's
as I said.
Speech, sure.
Uh,
Yeah, well, let me ask you this, just a general question. What do you think, I know that it started last year with having 10 nominees for Best Picture.
And there's still 10 this year.
Yeah, what do you think about that? It seems like a...
Well, it originally was like 20 Best Picture nominees back in the day when it started, and then it got down to, or no, it started off at like 5, went up to 10, then 15, then down, then went up to 20 to 25 at a couple of
Yeah,
points,
it's
and
just,
then it went down again to 5 for many years, and now it's back up to 10.
Let's see, this one was...
I could certainly see there be a problem with a number like 20, because let's be honest,
would you really want to get
20
through? Would you really want to go
films
through
each
that?
year.
Too?
I'm not
would
sure.
you really want to go through a number, you know? Get past 5 out, fuck.
I mean, but doesn't it seem like some of the films that were nominated had zero chance to win? I guess it is recognition for their good work. I mean, Toy Story 3 was not going to win Best Picture overall.
No, but it did get animated feature,
It
which
did.
deserved.
Yes. But, yeah, to me it seems as if by... What you can do also is if you're nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture, you can certainly attach that to your product.
Right.
And say, I was nominated, and, you know, the wider the field, the more films can claim that later on.
Right, well, the problem that I found is, and this is nothing against anybody's movies this year, but it was a stretch, some of the stuff, I think, to put it in any of the categories. Now, I love King's Speech, I love Black Swan, I loved Alice in Wonderland in 3D. I loved Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. I loved Toy Story 3. But you cannot get me for any amount of money to say that I was happy that they revoked Burlesque the Oscar nods for that. Much less the fact that they had given Randy Newman the Song Award. He's won several times. What do you think? Give it to somebody else. That was not one of his best songs. That You Got a Friend in Me was a better one.
Sure.
Of course, that was back in 2002, but...
So what happened with Burlesque that you brought up?
They nominated it for a couple of songs, and I think it was like original score, editing, and costumes. And they revoked all
the nominations? Really?
Yeah, even after the ballots were published in Entertainment Weekly and stuff, so you can go back in and find them.
Why? Any explanation for why that happened?
No.
Hmm.
But that has to be the shadiest dealings I've ever seen with the Oscars. But it was nice to see Kirk Douglas kidding around with Anne Hathaway and Melissa Leo, who dropped the F-bomb. The King's Speech F-bomb. Even though she was from the fighter.
Yeah, of course it's the Oscars, so you know.
Well, that censor was agile.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah. He caught everything that night. I don't know what went right for him, but he caught everything that
Well,
night.
see, that's the difference between
Damn.
The Oscars.
I mean,
and,
fuck.
I mean, darn.
Well, yeah, that I mean, yeah, it's networks, so they're whereas the night before, I was watching the Spirit Awards, and that's on IFC, and so they say, what the hell, let all the curse words through.
You know what? You watched another award show. Maybe you could kind of inform us as to...
Well, I watched it too, and I'll tell you this, is that all the winners were up online before the show even aired, and it was pre-recorded a few months in advance.
So, the Best Picture, according to the Spirit Award, the same?
No, oddly enough. Best Picture, King's Speech didn't get anything other than Best Foreign Film at the Independent Spirit Awards. Black Swan got it.
For Best Picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then it was Natalie Portman. Best Director was somebody else. David Fincher for Social Network.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like screenplay was Black Swan. Cinematography was something else. I want to say it was Black Swan, but I'm not positive on that. It would help if I had the list, but...
Sure. Well, Casey, you watched the award show.
Yeah,
maybe you could pitch in.
Mm-hmm. I did watch it. Yeah, I'm trying to remember,
Yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah. And I've seen, watched a plethora of things since, so.
Yeah. No. Any movies that you've viewed recently, Casey?
That you liked?
Movies that I viewed recently that I liked, I'll mention them again. Well, I'll mention them for the audience. I mentioned them to you guys earlier.
Right.
But I'll mention them to the audience. One of them, the first one I'm going to mention is one called Acceptance with Mae Whitman, now grown up.
Okay.
Well, she originally, was first seen as a little girl with George Clooney and I think Michelle Pfeiffer was in that. And I don't remember who played the boy, but that was that One Fine Day.
Oh, yeah, that awful.
But now she's grown up.
Okay.
She's a good actor.
That awful flick. Nice.
Anyhow, and the other one that I saw recently that I highly recommend, directed by Kevin Smith, is Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Very nice.
That was one of the ones that, oddly enough, the critics bashed, but everybody that is a fan liked it. Which I can't say as I disagree with.
Oh, and speaking of Kevin Smith...
Yes?
Last week, every Sunday I listen to the Puzzle Master section of... Well, I listen to Weekend Edition Sunday up until that puzzle part, and then I go up to church. And the thing to work on for this week was a director... You take the last name... a director who's known for profanity. You take the last name, and then you switch a couple of the letters in there, and you come up with another word that means profanity. So immediately I thought, well, it's got to be Kevin Smith or John Waters, but I can't think of switching either letters in any of those to come up with another word for profanity.
So,
Well, no, with
Smith
John
or
Waters, you
Waters.
can come up with something.
Will you switch around letters and Waters because it's in the last name?
Waters.
Raw. Yeah, that's tough. You're talking about an anagram.
Okay, no, you don't. Not a full anagram. You just flip-flop to the letters. So you can flip flop the T and the A, or the
Oh.
R and the E, or
The T and the A. Well, there you go.
the W and the
profane.
A. Or
Anyway, we're talking about T and A.
Anywho,
So what was the answer, though?
well, no, that would be tomorrow on the show.
Okay.
But
Well,
today,
the-
of course, today is Saturday, so I listen to my usual Saturday morning routine. Watch a film on Netflix.com.
Which was?
I watched a film called Jump In.
Okay.
Then I watched, and then I listened to some music on Playlist.com, and then I listened to Click and Clack, Car Talk, followed by Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Okay, now this Click and Clack and whatnot, that's on what
That's on,
radio station?
That's on public radio.
Mhm.
They're both broadcast
So it's NPR.
as a feed of NPR.
Okay.
And I should say that there are some shows like What Do You Know of Michael Feldman that are broadcast via a feed through PRI, which is Public Radio International, so they can be heard internationally.
All right.
Right. And some of this stuff also originates from Vermont, is my understanding, right?
Well, there's Vermont public radio, and
Yeah,
there's
they get the feed.
national
They get the
public
feed.
radio, right?
They get the feed. Car Talk. They do that from Cambridge, Mass. Peter Sagal usually. Peter Sagal with Wait, Don't Tell Me. This week it was on the road in Florida. Sometimes it's on the road. When it's not on the road, it's done from Chicago, his hometown.
Yeah, I have to say, it sounds like you listen to the radio now. If you were listening to this broadcast tonight, would that turn you off to the radio forever?
Well, that's the only radio listening I do. I don't tend to listen to the radio much. There's usually I listen to Playlist.com. I'll listen to a music thing through my satellite service. Now there was one morning where I had a couple of shows recording at the same time on two different channels, so I couldn't flip over to a music channel. So I didn't go to Playlist.com because I wanted to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
So on that day, I went to ESPN Radio, which I listen to from time to time.
All right. So it sounds like you've been doing a lot of radio listening.
Also, just for those who don't know, the Playlist.com is you assemble your own playlist based on the select number of songs that they have available, which is still quite vast. And you can also get comedy and stuff on there, and you just play up whatever you're interested in and whatnot. It's kind of fun.
And earlier you mentioned Vermont, and one of the panelists today on Wait, Don't Tell Me is a guy by the name of Tom Bodette, and he does live in Vermont. Not in the Burlington area, but he does live in Vermont.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Anywho.
All right, so maybe
this
would be like a good time to talk about
other things going on currently.
No. We're not going to jump into current events. Why don't we talk about what we plan to do in the future?
That works too.
All
right. How about since I started off with the likes and dislikes related to college, why don't you or Nate start off with what the future holds?
Would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
You can't predict the future, but
what are your plans for tomorrow? Are you planning to get up?
Well, of course I'll get up tomorrow.
Let's put it a different way. What do you want to do for work? Where do you see yourself in like 5-10 years in your head?
In my head.
Still in his head. It's hard to get out.
That's what she said.
Well, where I see myself, of course, there's a lot of factors and some variables that will lead to that.
Of course.
But where I see myself is What's that?
Flat broke.
No, not flat broke.
Flat broke or flat lining?
No, because I will have gotten some type of work going, and I will figure out some way to make some investments and get some other money coming in, so I can fund what I want to, so I can, take screenplays I've written and fund producing and acting in those. And then some just acting, things that I've done here, maybe TV films from time to time. There's going to be a group of studios that's going to be built in the Burlington area that's going to have a number of different studios in it, including a couple of which there'll be sitcoms in front of a studio audience. So that'd be nice to be in one of those.
Is that reality?
Doesn't have to be a major role. It can be one of the minor roles.
Is that true? They're building studios in the Burlington area? Oh.
And then some of the other stuff that'll be done in there will be cooking shows, talk shows, and then they'll have some green screen areas too.
Which they desperately need. Having been on TV up here, they desperately need a green screen.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so you're planning to do more work with film at some point. Film and television. Right.
Certainly.
Somewhat similar, however, in my case, it's a little bit more immediate than 5 to 10 years away. As Mike will attest to, and Casey, because I sent them a script, which I'll ask them about momentarily, but I just completed a screenplay, or teleplay to be more precise, for a TV show titled The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, based on the old radio show. And the episode is The Headless Monk. For those who want to look it up, it's old-time radio, Sherlock Holmes free downloads, and then just look for the episode titled Headless Monk from 1946 with Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce as the actors. But it's basically a TV version of that, and I've got outlines for another 3 that would then turn it into a movie if I combine them all together and did some fancy editing. And that's assuming they could ever be made, but that's what I've written up so far. I'm going into writing starting Monday. A screenplay called, tentatively titled anyway, You Need Not Wonder Why, about a group of friends who need to figure out whether or not they can be friends after life-altering experiences through college and various other ins and outs of issues that they're having. I also am going into writing immediately after that, and probably will continue that movie's in production over the summer. Knock on wood, I still have to send the script out to the actresses, but barring them saying no and one of them actually showing up, which would be nice for a change. I've invited her to do 5 things, and she said no to all of them, and it's been over the course of 5 years, yet I've shown up to stuff that she's been a part of. So it's kind of like, hey, turnabout's fair play, show up to this. Anyway, so, I did the snap instead of a curse, because I've been cursing enough on my own that I don't need the added unneeded one. So the other one that I'm going to be writing is, well, I've talked to you guys before about that. I'm not going to divulge on the internet because I don't want anybody to steal it. But rest assured, it's a family-friendly movie, probably a PG-oriented story as opposed to the TV-14 or R-rated movie stuff that I'm currently writing. So that's in the immediate future. Where I'd like to go is trying to set up some way of making the script I'm not talking about into a movie, and then be able to go on a comedy tour talking about discrimination and matter of factly stating what happened throughout my educational life, because, I mean, let's be honest, the majority of my educational life has been discrimination of various kinds, but most notably by the senator's wife. So that will be, again, subject for another series of podcasts. So that's what I have going on. And Mike, we know that you're moving, but what else have you got?
I would say in the near term, nothing very exciting. Unlike the two of you, yeah, no. I've pretty much given up on any political ambitions. And unlike the two of you, who seem to have both a short-term and long-term plan, I don't know what's going to happen next. It's difficult to picture anything beyond really, the next month, which is going to be moving, setting up a place elsewhere, and from that point, I don't know. I mean, there's the ideal situation, which would be that I acquire my teaching license down there, can teach during the school year, and then have the summer off, and I would spend the summer up here. That would be the ideal situation. Not that that's necessarily going to happen, but if I could draw out a perfect script, it would be to spend the better part of 9 months there working, and then have the summer off and spend it here, probably just, maybe living at a rental place just for a few months. And that way I could get the best of both worlds. Because the summer here is much nicer than the summer back home. So,
Thought the winter back home was better than the summer.
Exactly. So that would be the ideal situation. What will probably happen is I'll spend a great deal of time digging a ditch that I plan to jump into, and cover myself with dirt.
Well, when you get to the Grand Canyon, let me know. I'll look you up.
But on the political note, probably, well, there's a couple of things I'd like to do politically.
One of which is?
I'll name them both, but briefly, one of them would be on the state level, in the House, in the State House. I know it's weird that it's called the State House, and then it's composed of both houses in the State House. So I have to say the House and the State House.
And
the other one.
Wait a second. Are we talking in D.C. or are we talking here in Vermont?
We're talking Vermont.
Okay. Now, what would that be? What would you want to do?
You just want to be a member of the House of Representatives for the state of Vermont.
Yeah, and the other one, politically, that I have been thinking about, may or may not do, but if I were to do it, is running for mayor of Burlington, and if I were to do it, like Hunter S. Thompson did in Colorado, I would run on the freak ticket.
Casey, I think now is the time to announce your candidacy for mayor of Burlington. There's an election forthcoming in, a year? Announce your candidacy right here, right now.
Yeah,
Are you running for mayor of Burlington, Vermont?
I will run for mayor of Burlington, Vermont on the freak ticket.
On the freak ticket.
So is
Too
that
easy.
code
Too
word
easy.
For those of you who are familiar with
Democrats?
Hunter S. Thompson, you will understand that.
For those of you who are not and are like me, good luck not making a joke.
And vote Casey Curry while you're joking.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could vote up here, I'd definitely vote for him. Not that that means anything to anybody, but...
Yeah. I could run your campaign, Casey, from a distance. It's pretty easy to run for mayor in Burlington, and I think you would garner...
It's pretty easy to run for the border, too. Just hope the border's a female.
Oh!
You didn't see that one coming. That's what
No.
you said.
And that's it from the political scene.
So, all right. So,
Yeah.
just to kind of wrap things up,
Other than the three.
we have Casey, whose goal is to work with film, but also be the mayor of Burlington.
Right.
Nate, who's going to continue writing films, directing films, editing films. And me, who's going to be a
The Cincinnati
grave
Kid.
digger, who will eventually jump into one of the larger holes he digs.
Stop talking cryptically.
I am the crypt keeper.
Well, you know.
You certainly don't look any younger.
Well, you know.
You just got buried for your own joke. I don't like that.
Just don't dance on my grave.
Speaking of
That's
that,
what she said.
why do they put the fence around cemeteries?
Don't fence me.
To keep the dead in?
Because people are dying to get in.
Ah, very nice.
Oh, dig yourself another hole while you're
Yeah, alright. And then, remember everyone, this is from the future mayor of Burlington, so...
the former future mayor.
You just killed your candidacy with that one.
Oops.
Everyone who'd vote for you is already dead.
And that's all the ones we know of.
Now this.
I think you should present this idea about running for mayor to someone at the college. Yeah.
Sandy.
No. Take it to Brenda first.
Don't do that. She'll bake you a cake with a turkey baster and say best of luck.
Whoa. Yeah, I will not be having a piece of that.
Enough for the test tube babies.
Wow. Casey.
I was at least subtle with mine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if your candidacy wasn't dead before, it is now.
Hook, line, and turkey baster.
Oh.
That's what she said. Coin at the magnificent. You ready?
Let's have it.
Okay. Hook, line, and turkey baster. What are the three things that women need to have kids without a guy?
The old hook, eh?